Tina Resch was a teenager from a broken family. At the age of 14, she had already suffered years of emotional neglect and physical abuse. Her mother had abandoned her when she was young, and her father, Timothy Resch, became her primary caregiver. However, rather than offering protection or support, Timothy's behavior was erratic and disturbing. Timothy had a history of mental health issues which, when combined with his controlling nature, made Tina's life increasingly unstable. Over the years, Tina had been subjected to strange and manipulative behavior from her father, including forced isolation and verbal abuse. On March 19, 1990, Tina Resch disappeared from her home. Her father reported her missing, and authorities launched a search. But what the police didn't know was that Tina had not run away or been kidnapped by a stranger. Instead, Timothy Resch had confined her to a hidden location inside their home. In the basement, Timothy had set up a small makeshift box, a small windowless room where Tina was locked up. The door was secured with locks and Tina had no way of escaping. Over the following days, she was kept in total isolation, deprived of food and water, and subjected to emotional and physical abuse. Tina's father, Timothy, justified his actions by telling her that she had done something wrong and needed to be punished. He often claimed that he was teaching her a lesson, trying to control her behavior and isolate her from the outside world. During this time, Tina began to believe her father's twisted narrative. Her psychological state deteriorated as she was made to believe that no one could help her and that her father was the only person who truly cared about her. In the days leading up to her eventual escape, Timothy continued to lock Tina in the box, limiting her interactions with others and forcing her to feel guilty for the smallest perceived misdeeds. After several weeks of captivity, Tina's father began to tighten his control over her, preventing any contact with the outside world. He would often leave for long periods of time, but Tina began to form a plan. She knew she had to get out. One fateful day, when Timothy was at work, Tina managed to slip out of the basement and run to a neighbor's house. She was emaciated, with bruises and cuts covering her body, but she was alive. Her terrified appearance sent the neighbor into immediate action, and they quickly called the police. When authorities arrived at the home, they discovered the locked box in the basement, filled with Tina's belongings and evidence of her abuse. The case quickly turned from a missing persons investigation into a kidnapping and abuse case. Timothy Resch was arrested on charges of child abuse, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. The investigation uncovered that he had been isolating Tina for weeks, controlling every aspect of her life and preventing her from seeking help. During questioning, Timothy maintained that he had been punishing Tina for what he believed were her mistakes, but he offered no coherent explanation for the extreme conditions she endured. Tina's story was revealed to the public, and the details were nothing short of shocking. The police discovered that during her time in captivity, Tina had been subjected to repeated mental and physical abuse, as well as forced isolation. Timothy had manipulated her into believing she was a bad girl and deserved to be punished. The trial of Timothy Resch was a highly publicized case. The defense attempted to argue that Timothy O.'s actions were the result of his mental health issues, and that he did not fully comprehend the consequences of his actions. However, the prosecution argued that Timothy's manipulation and control over Tina were deliberate and malicious. They highlighted the fact that he had locked his daughter away for weeks, leaving her in a tiny airless room with little access to food or water. The jury was unanimous in their conviction. Timothy Resch was found guilty of kidnapping, child abuse, and false imprisonment. Timothy Resch was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his crimes. The judge ruled that the severity of the abuse and the manipulation made his actions particularly heinous. The fact that he had systematically isolated Tina for weeks, leading her to believe that no one cared about her, added to the psychological harm inflicted on her. Tina Resch, after being freed from her father's grip, faced years of therapy and support to deal with the trauma of her captivity. While the road to recovery was long, Tina managed to rebuild her life, slowly healing from the years of emotional and physical abuse she endured. In the years following her escape, Tina became a vocal advocate for child abuse awareness and worked to help other survivors of psychological manipulation and kidnapping. She shared her story to raise awareness of the devastating effects of isolation and the importance of recognizing the warning signs of manipulative behavior in family members.